All right, everybody, good afternoon. Welcome back, and we've got more to say about Elijah Arroyo, the new Seattle Seahawks tight end. Earlier today, we did a video talking about his numbers. If you haven't seen that video yet, go watch it. It's up on the channel a few hours ago. And now we're going to be talking about Elijah Arroyo in terms of his traits. What does he do well? What does he do not so well? What does he do stellar? What can he improve on? What things might just be negatively intrinsic to him and there's not much he can do about it? All that kind of stuff. You guys know the drill. Let's just go ahead and jump in, starting with the good stuff. First, though, please like this video. Click the thumbs up button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new. We're going to be doing at least one video a day, or at least I'm going to try to, even during the slow part of the off season. During the season, we're going to be getting to like 4 to 6 uploads a day. Most days, click the bell for notifications, become a channel member for $2 a month. Those are the best ways to help support the channel. All right, so talking about the good stuff with Elijah Arroyo, as I see it, I think he's going to be good against zone in the NFL. He's got that feel for finding holes in zone and sitting down in them. It's the same thing that JSN does. It's the same thing that makes JSN such a great receiver, being able to read zone defense, find the hole, and then wait in that hole and present a good target to the quarterback. I think that I wouldn't say that Arroyo is as good at it as somebody like a JSN, but I would say that he is good at it. It's a strength of his. It's a plus attribute of his. He's got excellent hands, and it's not just the stats. He has 1 drop across 63 targets in college, which is good. But more than that, you watch him bring the ball in. He's a hands catcher. He's got big hands that he knows how to utilize pretty well. It seems like he's going to be somebody who won't drop a lot of passes even across a bigger sample size. So I do think that beyond just the numbers, this guy is a good catcher of the football. It's a little bit interesting to talk about Arroyo as a blocker, but I would say that if you put him in situations where he's blocking in like a wide zone context, where he's on the move, he's pulling, he's blocking in space, he's blocking smaller players on the perimeter, it's pretty good. He's an effective blocker when you put him on the move and you're putting him in situations where he can square up on somebody that he can physically take on and even be stronger than. So in that context, I do think he is pretty darn good. He's got some pretty decent speed. He can challenge the seam and be a vertical threat. He was in college. He was somebody that was a big play threat in college, somebody who challenged the vertical seam very well. There's going to be a lot to discuss about his speed going forward, but as the season went on, it felt like he got a little more comfortable out there and became a little bit more of that vertical threat. And there is some reason to believe that there will be more of that in the pros than there even was in college, and I'll get to why a little bit later. But he's got, at the very least, workable speed. He's, even if the worst case scenario plays out here, this is a guy who has about 4.7 speed. He's not a 4.8 guy like a Will Dissly. He's not a, I think AJ Barner was like a 4.84 guy. This guy's faster than both of those guys, even if it's the worst case. He's a willing blocker when placed in line. I don't see the things with him that you see with other tight ends who just don't want to block and don't put in the effort. I think that Arroyo puts in the effort. Remember, he played at Miami in college, and their coaches, Cristobal in particular, is a guy who really values blocking tight ends. So at the very least, he was trying, and I think he'll continue to try in the NFL. He plucks the ball out of the air cleanly. He's got ball skills to win contested catches. If you look at the way he goes up and gets the ball, using his size, using his height, using his wingspan, using his length, I think he will be good in contested catch situations in the NFL. There's not a lot of information to work with from college to say that for sure, but I think if you put him in contested catch situations, he's going to win a pretty good percentage of the time. This, to me, is the big question mark. This, to me, is the most interesting thing. It is possible that his bad left knee from 2022 and 2023 was not completely healed up in 2024, and he was playing through it. And if that's the case, then we didn't get a full sense of what this guy is as an athlete. We didn't get a full sense of his speed or his agility or his explosiveness. There was a lot of stuff that we were watching through a lens that wasn't giving us a clear picture of anything. So if it is the case, and this is the if, and this is to me is the big if that's going to determine things one way or the other. If his medicals from 22 and 23 robbed him of athleticism and he was just playing with his tenacity and his hands and his football IQ in 2024, and his medicals clear up all the way going into 2025, you might be getting a better athlete. And as someone who didn't like this pick very much, if it turns out that Elijah Arroyo is a much better athlete than we saw last year because of this, that is something that would at the very least get me on board, because that completely changes the way I perceive him as a player. Like we went over in the previous video, he was deployed in a variety of different ways all over the field. He was a slot guy. He was in line. He was backfield a few times a game in his final year. He was, lined up wide a few times a game. They put him everywhere. He's not going to be able to do all that stuff in the NFL, but he'll be able to do a good chunk of it. And at the very least, he's prepared. It seems like he's smart when he comes to reading defensive leverage. When you're running your route and the way the defender is leaning, the way his body is positioned tells you where he can go and where he can't go in the next split second. And then you have to react to that. It's, again, the same kind of stuff that JSN does. Read leverage and go to where the defender's not going to be able to go and go make a play on the ball. So good at that stuff. He's got the size to play in line, especially in the modern NFL, and he's got the length to present a big catch radius. He's 6'5". He has the wingspan of a 6'9" guy. There is some high-level route running in his bag. He's good at shifting gears. He's got some fakes that he utilizes to throw defenders off. There are some improvements that he can make here. But overall, I think that the technical and mental aspects of route running are good. He seems very aware. He makes good decisions. So that part of the route running is clean. And he's also good at working his way back to the quarterback and presenting himself as a target if the play goes sideways. So he helps his quarterback out when the quarterback needs help. All right, so those are the things that I like about Arroyo as a player. Let's consider some of the things that I like less, some of the things I'm concerned about. So the first one's an obvious one. This is an easy one. He's got a big-time injury track record, played less than 1,000 offensive snaps in 4 years, so we just didn't get a full picture of him, and it also hurt his ability to improve. There are some holes in his game that maybe would be fixed by now if he could stay healthy over the last couple years, but he didn't. And maybe he'd be more of a finished product right now. Maybe he would have been somebody that I would have considered to be worthy of being a second-round pick, and maybe he would have even been above that. Who knows? But he didn't get those reps that other players were getting, so we don't know what's up. Unless he becomes a better athlete. Well, okay, that's not the right phrase. Unless the time away from his left knee injuries improves his athletic ability, what I see is an average athlete at the tight end position. I think he is an average athlete as of right now. Even at the end of the year when it felt like he was getting more comfortable, I still think he's pretty average. Now, if the knee injury was robbing him of something, that's different. But that is speculation. To the best of my knowledge, even though he didn't run an official 40 at the combine, and I don't believe he did at his pro day, his estimated 40 time is about a 4.69 or a 4.7, and that's not bad, but it's not something that's going to terrify defenses. So if you're looking at a 4.69 40 time and you're talking about him as a vertical seam threat, it might be all right, but it's not going to be deadly, right? Like, the tight ends that are really big vertical threats tend to be faster than 4.69. So if this is his actual meaningful speed on a football field, then it's okay. It's kind of like Ricky White III, and we'll talk more about Ricky White III in a couple weeks, but Ricky White III was a pretty good deep threat at UNLV, but then he went to the combine and ran a 4.7 40. And at a 4.7, it was like 4.71, I think. That is probably not going to cut it in the NFL. But then he went to his pro day and ran like a 4.5. That's more manageable. And what that tells you, the initial 40 time tells you, oh, this isn't going to work in the NFL just because it worked at UNLV. And then you see at the pro day, you're like, maybe he had a bad day at the combine. But if Arroyo is a 4.69 guy, I think you lose something going to the NFL in terms of his vertical threat abilities. He does give effort as a blocker, but his technique is poor, his hand placement is poor, and he doesn't have enough strength to really block inline the way you want to. If you're asking this guy to hold up against a big, strong edge rusher, probably not happening. If you're going to ask him to really create leg drive in the run game, tough to imagine happening. So he's going to have to add some strength. He's going to have to improve his technique, and he can be decent. Maybe he'll never be a great blocker. I do think there's some upside here for him to be workable, but I don't think he'll ever be anything super standout. Takes a while to build up to top speed. His acceleration, I think, is a little bit slow. So we're talking about a guy who has good top speed, but it takes so long for him to get up to that top speed. Sometimes the play is over by the time it actually kicks in. So man coverage has a tendency to blanket him. So I'm a little worried about that. I think man coverage is going to be an issue for him. He's going to be in a lot of contested catch situations in man, and that could go one way or the other, even if he is a good contested catcher. He offers very little run after the catch in terms of his skills. I know that the numbers didn't look bad. He got decent yard after the catch numbers in his college career, but in terms of his actual skills, his ability to make guys miss, ability to run through defenders, ability to set up a long run, not a lot going on there. He gets what's there, and in the NFL, I expect him to mostly just be a chain mover, and if he is a big play threat, it'll be because of air yards much more than yak. There's also the distinct possibility that the injuries that stole his 22 and 23 seasons flare up again. What if he's just naturally injury prone and last year was the fluke? If that's true, then you're getting a player who's not going to stay on the field. And while I did have some nice things to say about his route running earlier, it is worth noting that he is an upright runner. If you watch him run, he looks like he's standing straight up. It doesn't look natural. You look at somebody like a JSN running routes, it looks totally different. This guy doesn't move very smoothly, and because of that, his breaks are not as clean. His ability to deceive the defender isn't as naturally good as it could be. He depends very heavily on his own trickeration to deceive the defender, and he himself as a route runner just looks a little bit awkward. So while I do think there are some great things about his route running on the whole, I think he's just an okay route runner. So that is my assessment of Elijah Arroyo as a player. The pros, the cons. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know how you guys feel. Another video coming later today. We're going to do some tape stuff with Arroyo, and I hope to see you there. Go Hawks. Everybody have a great day.